Hey everybody, it's Reckless. So, I am finally back 100%. I finished doing all those Petrovenge bounties, and now I get to go back to doing what I like to do in Destiny, which is make the videos that you guys like. Now, if Bungie decides they actually want to come out with more bounties for the House of Wolves, then I will have those actually done also. Now, we're actually going to start this with the Destiny Weapon Tuning 2.0.0 update. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you are pissed off. I know, because I am. So we're going to do this all with a little bit of PvP footage too. So we're actually going to start with the base weapon changes. Now, everything that I'm saying you can read on the Bungie.net website. I'll put a link to this specific article in the description below. So there will be a whole bunch of nerfs and only a few buffs, but what Bungie's trying to do is balance things, and from the look of what they plan on it as of right now, it doesn't look too good. So we're going to start with auto rifles first, and what Bungie actually wants to do with auto rifles, they want to make them optimal at close and medium range. They want the damage, stability, and range tuned so that players' desired stability for reliable close quarters damage in range, or better accuracy and increased damage at a distance. And they also want auto rifles to be more competitive in PvP, but also be able to be playable in PvE. So, how do they achieve this? So Bungie's giving auto rifles 3 buffs and 1 nerf. They are increasing the base damage, the start damage fall off closer to the player to emphasize its role as a close to medium range weapon. Then they're given a small reduction in stability. Landing shots at optimal range is unaffected, but repeated precision hits require more weapon control to land consistency. And they were also giving auto rifles a boost damage of 10% against AI combatants, which is okay, but I think they also need to give that boost to PvP also, and not just PvE. So the next type of weapons we're actually going to talk about is pulse rifles. Bungie wants pulse rifles optimal at medium range, but to still be effectively engage enemies at close to medium long ranges. They know that the rate of fire sets a pace for players to track moving targets and then deliver precision damage in bursts. They want pulse rifles to feel like a strong weapon in PvP, but they don't want it to be your only option. And lastly, they want pulse rifles to be good in PvE also.
Enemy captured.
So in order to achieve this, Bungie wants to reduce the base damage of the medium ROF by about 2.5%, and for PvP, burst to kill is 2 or 3 depending on victim's armor stat. And to round off pulse rifles, they want to increase the magazine size on all base inventory stats. The next thing we're actually going to talk about is scout rifles. Bungie knows that scout rifles are the best primary weapon for long range engagements. They want scout rifles to perform best when landing paced precision shots, and they want to tune the rate of fire and optics so that scout rifles are a little harder to use effectively in close range. So in order to effectively achieve this, Bungie gives scout rifles 3 buffs and 1 nerf. They are going to increase base damage for medium to high rate of fire scout rifles. However, in PvP, this does not affect the Taken King in PvP on a Guardian with full health. They are going to increase magazine size for all base inventory stats, but reduce final accuracy when firing from the hip, and also fast firing outside of when you're aiming down the sights will be less accurate also. However, they are also given a boost damage of 5% against AI combatants. Again, this is better off, doing it for both the AI and for PvP. The next weapon we're actually going to talk about are hand cannons. Yay! Bungie wants hand cannons to be optimal at close to medium range. They want hand cannons to be optimal when you're firing at a pace, or at a good pace, and become less effective when firing them quickly. Bungie wants hand cannons to reward agility under fire, precision targeting, and snapshots. However, Bungie does not want hand cannons to compete with scout rifles at long ranges. Now get prepared, because they didn't do anything but nerf the crap out of hand cannons. The start damage drop off will be closer to you, the person shooting. That way you don't get long range kills.
Zone B.
They are making a small reduction to aiming down sight accuracy,
Heavy ammo on the way.
and the auto targeting at long range will be less reliable. They want to reduce final accuracy when firing from the hip, which also means fast firing from the hip is less reliable, so
Heavy
sucks to
ammo
be the last
available.
word, unless you're aiming down sights. They want to reduce the magazine size for all base inventory stats, so then now you'll get less ammo, and they want to reduce base optics for all hand cannons. Pretty much when you aim down sights, it now grants more width in favor of depth. So pretty much what they want to do is turn the hand cannons into the present day auto rifle. However, there is exotic weapon tuning, but I'll get into that as soon as I finish the base weapon changes. The next weapon type we're actually going to talk about is shotguns. So as everybody knows, the 1.1.1 update hit shotguns pretty hard on their range. You think Bungie wants to stop there? Of course not. Now they want to hit your perks. So Bungie wants to make shotguns the most effective at very close range. They want shotguns to complement melee attacks and other close quarters class builds. So if you're into the whole shotgun melee thing combo, yeah, they want you to do that more often. They want offensively closing in on an enemy with a shotgun to be a risk/reward thing based on your timing. And they also want to curb shotgun effectiveness in PvE slightly to reduce some risk when closing on a powerful enemy. So get ready to get pissed off even more, because we have even more nerfs. Shotgun perks that enhance lethality at range should be less effective when combined with a high initial range stat. And what that's going to do is it's going to reduce shot package accuracy buff by 30%. Rangefinder adds a 5% base range increase when you aim down sights, which was 20%. They want to reduce precision damage multiplier on shotguns by 10% and reduce damage against AI combatants by 10%. So pretty much they're nerfing the shit out of shotguns. Next, we're going to talk about fusion rifles. Bungie wants fusion rifles optimal at mid-range, where targets are easier to track, but they're not close enough to attack while charging up. Bungie wants fusion rifles to require combat foresight and the ability to predict a target's movement to use successfully. And they also want it to not be easy to find and build a fusion rifle that can achieve maximum range. So in order to achieve all this, Bungie is going to give you 3 nerfs and 1 buff. So the first being slow charging high impact fusion rifles have decreased range values, which makes it more difficult to max out range for these types of weapons. Projectile speed for fusion rifles is slightly reduced, which emphasizes the need to lead a target outside medium range. However, they want to improve accuracy for short range fusion rifles, but reduce accuracy for long range fusion rifles. So if you use fusion rifles, you got a little work ahead of you. The next type of weapon we're actually going to talk about is the sniper rifle. Bungie wants sniper rifles optimal at long range and difficult to use for medium and short range combat. They want to reward sniper rifle kills with high damage against precision targets, but they also want the final round perk on sniper rifles to still require a precision shot. So it's a minor nerf to the sniper rifles, and that is final round on sniper rifle buffs precision damage only, not base damage. And this change only affects this perk when combined with sniper rifles. So for all you half-ass snipers out there, when you use final round, there's no more wasting your ammo and shooting for the body. You gotta aim for the head. So the next weapon type we're actually going to talk about is the rocket launchers. Bungie wants rocket launchers to deal massive AoE damage from a distance, and also rockets are optimal when placed in the middle of a group. So for rocket launchers, there's only a small buff and a small nerf, and those are slight increase in base blast radius, and also grenades and horseshoes proximity detonation is reduced. So it's not too bad, but I kind of like grenades and horseshoes a lot. It's definitely, I feel, better than tracking, but it's all personal preference. So one thing I noticed that Bungie didn't do was touch machine guns at all in this entire update. Gives you something to think about. So the next thing in this update that we're actually going to talk about is the exotic weapon tuning. And we're going to start this off with the hard light. Bungie wants the hard light to actually be playable, so they're giving this weapon a huge buff. The hard light will increase its base stability from 65 to 80. It will have increased bounce count for hard light projectiles, and the hard light projectiles are not affected by damage drop off. The next weapon we're actually going to talk about is the Necrochasm, and just like the hard light, it is getting a lot of buffs itself. They are going to increase the stability from 40 to 60. They are also going to increase the mag size. The Cursebringer perk will always trigger on a precision kill, and the Cursebringer explosion has increased radius and deals more damage. So congratulations to the Necrochasm. It's never given me any issues in PvP, but I do know someone who it did give issues to. I'm not going to say any names. Pedo! Which brings us to our next weapon, which is going to be the last word. Now with the last word, there's going to be 2 nerfs, 1 buff, and 1 fix. Bungie's going to reduce the range stat from 20 to 10 and reduce the stability stat from 30 to 20. They're also going to reduce the effective range while you aim down sights. However, they're going to increase accuracy and precision damage when the aim assist is available when you're firing from the hip. So what they're actually doing with this gun is they want to make it more Western. You know, fire from the hip, not aiming down the sights. So the next exotic weapon we're actually going to talk about is Thorn. Thorn is getting 1 buff and 1 nerf, and they are reduced base damage of Thorn's Mark of the Devourer, which is the dot damage, to roughly 1/3 of what it was in PvP and PvE. But they're also going to allow the dot to stack up to 5 times across multiple landed projectiles. And they continue on by saying this is a net buff of the Thorn's dot, but reduces the lethality of the weapon in PvP. So the next exotic weapon we're actually going to talk about is Hawkmoon. And this weapon gets 2 buffs and 1 nerf. And so what they plan on doing is add a stack limit to Luck in the Chamber and holding aces, so that only 2 of the bonus perks will ever stack on 1 round. And they also said that this should prevent Hawkmoon from landing a 1-hit kill on full health players in PvP. And also the last thing that they're going to do with Hawkmoon is they're going to add 2 rounds to Hawkmoon's magazine when holding aces is unlocked. Oh, correction. This is the last thing. Luck in the Chamber bonus damage will be reduced by 3%. So the next exotic weapon we're actually going to talk about is the Icebreaker, which really doesn't have much except for a little nerf. And what Bungie plans on doing with the Icebreaker is they want to increase the charge time from the 1 round every 5 seconds to 1 round every 8 seconds. That way you don't get to shoot the Icebreaker off as much as you used to do. The next exotic weapon we're actually going to talk about is the No Land Beyond. And oh my god, the No Land Beyond gets a huge buff. So the No Land Beyond will get increased weapon handling speed for faster time to aim, ready, and stow the weapon. They are going to adjust sights to fix overlap and parallax issue when aimed. They are going to increase time decay of the master to 8 seconds. And Bungie will add an additional 20% precision damage bonus while the master is active.
Bravo team.
So the next weapon is actually pretty interesting because it is in the exotic weapon tuning section, but yet it is not an exotic weapon. And that is the Black Hammer. So the Black Hammer is getting a buff -1. And what I mean by -1 is it's not really a nerf. It's just something that happens and nothing you can do about it. So the changes to the Black Hammer will be increased ammo inventory to 18 rounds, which is awesome. But also the White Nail perk now pulls ammo from your inventory. So instead of shooting those 3 precision rounds, if you have special ammo in your inventory, it's gonna pull from that instead of the magazine. Or recycling your rounds for precision shots. But my only question with that is, if you do not have any special ammo in your inventory and you get precision shots, what happens? Well, we won't know until this update is actually released. So the next exotic weapon that's on the list is the Lord of Wolves, and it's actually getting a buff. And the buff that it actually gets is that it tripled the recovery boost bonus for allies granted by Lord of Wolves. So the final exotic weapon that we're actually going to talk about is... Wait, let me ask you a question. Do you even G-Horn, bro? Do you even know how to G-Horn, bro? Do you even know what a G-Horn even looks like, bro? Yes, the final exotic is the Yellowhorn. So the only thing that's coming to the Yellowhorn, yes, it is finally getting nerfed, unfortunately, but it's not really too much. The changes happening are reduced damage of Wolfpack rounds, but unfortunately, Bungie kind of cheats us and doesn't tell us how much damage is being reduced, like it did for the rest of all the other weapons that were reduced in damage. So the final thing we're actually going to talk about is weapon stats. Bungie actually plans on addressing 2 issues at the moment, and those 2 issues are: 1, PvP lethality across all weapons gets exaggerated due to high performance guns that don't have any flaws or quirks, and 2, as you collect and grow weapons over time, they all start to feel like the same guns. And in order to attack this issue, they actually took 3 different approaches. The first approach they actually took is reduced base weapon stats. And what that means is brand new auto rifles will have slightly less starting stability, brand new shotguns will have slightly less starting range. So pretty much the optimal stat for any new weapon that you get is going to have less than what it should normally. But this will only start with weapons that you receive in the Taken King. Any weapons that you have acquired before the Taken King remains untouched. So the second approach that Bungie is actually going to take is called the Stat Perk Tuning Pass. And what this does is it compensates for the weaker stat perks from launch weapons that they added some new stat perks which have already showed up in the House of Wolves that do provide a significant increase to a stat in exchange for a reduction in another stat. And an example of that is rifle barrel, small bore, injection mold, or stuff like that. So the last approach Bungie is actually going to take is called the Stat Perk Column on Talent Grids, or a lot of people like calling them talent trees. And what that means is talent grids will almost always unlock in the order of small benefit to medium benefit, or another small benefit choice to a large benefit with a trade-off. And the only node in the column you have to unlock is the first one. So from then on up, it's pretty much whatever you as a player want to activate at a given time, which pretty much is already what we do right now. So there really isn't much like change in that at all. So that pretty much covers everything in the Destiny Weapon Tuning 2.0.0. If there's anything else that comes up with the next coming weeks, I will let you know. This is Reckless. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Let me know what you guys think about the video in the comments below. This is Reckless, and I will see you guys later.